Hello. Well, I just managed to do a whole video on soul and then realised I had my music playing on desktop audio in the background, but my volume down so I didn't hear it, and therefore you couldn't hear anything I was saying. So here we go, here's another one. On the plus side, when I do it the second time, it tends to be quicker. Okay, so soul, attempting to do a quick video today. So, 3-month chart. We never made it all the way back down to 3-month demand, bounced on a 3-day that's in the middle of this candle. We have a new 3-month demand, which we tapped immediately on the candle at the last quarter of last year, and hence we've got this massive move up. On the monthly, we've now come into monthly supply, so we initially had rejected this monthly supply, came back down into the 3-month, and then straight back up into the monthly supply. So now we are, or at least I am short biased at this point in time because we're in supply, yes, we're still in a long major uptrend, and a lot of people say it's crazy to be short biased, but I don't get long bias at resistance, and for me this monthly supply is resistance, and we are also in the golden pocket. Retracement on the log chart, at least. On the linear chart we are not. The 61 would be significantly higher in the 70s, so we'd be up in this weekly zone. However, I guess we're probably at the 50% now, coming up to the 50%. So from, at least from a log perspective and from a supply perspective, I am looking at the possibility of taking shorts. So far on the, if we go down to 3-week, there's not much, 2-week, nothing, 1 week. So we have 2 1-week demands below. And again, excuse my mess because I'm just charting on so many different time frames. We had a 1-week demand created here, closed above, tapped off it, went up, another 1-week demand created, and this candle's closed above, and we haven't come back and tapped this one yet. This is where I currently have my alert, as you can see there with the green cross. However, I don't always love when this is the case. Like if we're very bullish, we will come off the top here, which is why I have the alert there. However, when we have this sort of stacked chop, then there is a fair chance that we're going to get a wick taking out some of these lows, so be a little bit careful. I set your own alert for this weekly, that's fine, but be a little bit careful because we could just wick straight down all the way down into here to wherever what I would say called true demand is, and it's not that easy to tell on this chart. Like normally I look for the last red candle at the top of a significant move up. So for example, here's cleaner. Here is just not very clean because we've got these wicks. There is no significant zone. It's quite hard to give an example with exactly what I mean on this because I kind of know when I see it. But like here, for example, that's the last daily candle at the top of a decent up move. And this consolidation on top is all fair and well and could hold as demand, but that would be my preferred demand if we were looking for a test of this zone. This is just choppy going up, and this is just choppy going up. I did fib that whole move, and again, like the 61 to 70, it's not an ideal fib either because of that chop, but so we could see a wick down into there. From a short perspective on this, I actually hadn't. So I had a short, like what I call blind entries on the 3-week supply and the monthly supply. Oh no, and there is my doorbell. Obviously, really good timing. How do I pause this? Let me just do it. Be right back. And I'm back. Sorry for that brief interlude. Obviously the doorbell, which never goes, has epic timing. Okay, so what was I saying? Yeah. So from a short perspective, I had a blind short alerts on 3-week and monthly supply, just so we know we're coming into those zones. In some cases you're going to get an immediate reaction. In this case, obviously the 3-week didn't, and then the monthly took some, maybe to 3/4 of the way through it, because of everybody being very bullish on Sol. When you've got a massive uptrend like this, I wouldn't suggest taking blind short entries. Blind short entries on retests are fine. So like, for example, blind longs here, this is a retest. But when you're massively a very strong counter trend, then you're just looking for the zone to hold and for time before the bigger move. But in some cases you do get, here for example, you probably did get on a daily, a scalp off that level. Nothing wrong with trying that. But again, being conscious that you are very, very much counter a significant weekly, monthly, 3-monthly uptrend. So on this, I haven't either looked at this at the right time to get decent shorts, or everything's just been tested by the time I've kind of got round to looking at it. And plus this was just a lot more bullish, like when we had this initial drop at the start of January, and then the follow-up drop on Bitcoin after the ETF. A lot of the other alts came a lot more significantly lower on this drop, on the 2 drops, than Sol did. And they also came back into demand and things like that, whereas Sol was obviously a lot stronger, is trying to maybe hold this 3-week level, or just some random zone, maybe on a lower time frame in here. So I wasn't overly comfortable with looking for shorts. And then while there have been some afterwards, just like I say, the timing obviously on when I'm actually charting, so there was a nice 8-hour in there which got tested after that. But having had this significant wick off it, and you may remember, like some alts, once we had this first wick down here, they just took straight back off from there. So some things I put short entries, I had short entries on all the other new majors, but not on Sol. So the first one I've had in actually was hit yesterday, because we did make a 5-day supply in there. Not a strong supply. It's a decent red candle off it, but like if it was to be strong, then this red candle would firstly have broken these lows, and secondly ideally closed a lot more significantly lower. But the comment I put against the alert was just to keep an eye on it, and bring my drawings back, and just watch these trend lines, because I thought there was a possibility in very crypto style, and like Ripple does this a lot actually, of breaking this triangle somewhere to the upside and then dumping straight back through. So we haven't done much of that yet, and we have made a new daily demand, so this is still not a massively solid short. So from a how do you take these alerts perspective, there is if you want, just an easy trade where you just go, okay, I'm going to assume 5-day supply holds, and just trade it down to there. Fairly low risk to reward. If you have a stop above the high, there's another option, and then potentially just assume this weekly is going to break. That's if you're swing trading and things like that. Personally, I don't recommend those, and I think most people who follow me are traders more than investors. So I would be waiting, for, like I say, for that move up that potentially is going to take out some of these stops. Or the other alert I have now is on the break of this trend line, which I have running back from December, the alert you can see down there. So if this trend line breaks, then potentially you're going to flip this daily demand to supply, and then it might give you a new entry. But again, I want to see a bit more on this to be sort of more confident of shorting. I don't think it's a high probability short, but I have the alert in there just to watch. From alongside, like I said, I have the alert on the top of that weekly demand, but being conscious, A, that we're coming from monthly supply and it might just go straight through it, but B, also, while it's weekly and we do expect an initial bounce, it could well wick into this zone because there are so many stops underneath here. And then if we get a massively big drop, I'll be looking back in this 3-month, and there's some decent confluence on fibs down there, like at least on the log fibs. It's quite a big drop from a linear fib perspective, and maybe you want to be more aggressive. The linear fibs are coming in here. 61.8 would be coming in around this level. So, but again, we've still got a lot more time on this, unless Bitcoin really falls off a cliff and takes it down in a giant candle, which you never know. But the stink bids are down on this 3-month zone. from a very high time frame perspective. And yeah, so like I say, I'm short biased being in monthly supply. However, it's still very early days, and you can see from the consolidations over here, we could still have this, you know, significantly more volatile consolidation coming down into this demand, or just keep consolidating at this level, and you know, we're still looking very much like this, and then do a straight pump straight through monthly supply on this. This is slightly different because it obviously didn't have monthly supply, but you're just waiting for the confirmation of those entries, and just waiting for it to make the patterns and trade what you see in the meantime. Not obviously looking like a particularly good top at the moment, because you know, for it to be a decent top, we needed to break through demand, then we need to sell the retest. You know, and for example, in this, you know, we had a decent volatile move down, but it didn't really break demand. It just wicked into it. You could have sold the retest, but then didn't make a lower low and then continued up. Similarly here, this did actually broke a daily demand there, but then still picked up and still ended up in a very tight consolidation pattern, made a larger triangle, and then took another move to break out the highs. And it could still very easily form one of these patterns and continue up at this point. However, the monthly supply makes me more inclined to look for shorts unless I see something that gives me more confidence from a long perspective. And like I say, with those, these are all fair and well to compare these consolidations, but these don't have resistance. You know, there was no history before this. There's no reason for this to have stopped here other than somebody wanted to sell a lot of it at around the 58 mark. Whereas this has a whole chunk of people from January to May in 2022 for sort of 5 or 6 months, people going long up here thinking this was going to make a new high and then getting killed when the price fell off a cliff afterwards. So obviously we expect some sort of consolidation or retracement at this point. How much we get is obviously the debate, and then where you choose to buy, what you wait for on the TA is up to you. I did look at the Sol BTC chart. There really wasn't much to add on this. This is actually slightly more bullish. Still in the monthly supply, it's basically the same, but slightly more bullish on the 3-day and daily at this point. You know, it's going to have 3-day demand, so less confident shorting on this one, but we're still getting that drop and then retest, and we'd like to see that third wave coming down before potentially looking for longs. Again, here it's got this 2-week demand, which the wick didn't quite tap. It's slightly cleaner than the US dollar chart. It's not so much chop through here, or there's still a bit of chop, but yeah, again, when the BTC pair comes down to here, when or if, should I say, that's when I'd be more inclined to start looking for longs again on this, and then again, if we get the massive drop, it would be all the way back down here again. Not much more to add there. Again, it's certainly not at a point that it's a high probability short at the moment. Hasn't given you anything on the low time frames. It's just this 5-day week supply, just looking to see what kind of play out that offers. How many people are longing what might be the top in inverted commas up here. Anyway, I hope that helps. Any questions, ask me in my chat.